Hello everybody, I'm Ard, and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. So, I made some changes in between the episodes, and, did some basic automation and got some of my house in order. So, to stall for time to avoid a task that I really don't want to do, let's go take a look at what I updated in between real fast. So, one of the first things I did was I took that item collector we used last time and put the chickens out here in this pen with the animated ones that I got, and I'm just having it collect all the eggs and feathers. So we're getting an okay supply of them. I'm not really doing anything to get a ton of them because I don't need a ton right now, but that's a start. And that led me down the hill of, well, how do I automate sheep in the early game here? And I figured out a way, and one that doesn't consume any power whatsoever. So I made another item collector, which is doing a fantastic job of collecting wool. As you can see, there's a bunch of sheared sheep. We can also see there are vector plates, which push the sheep in a straight line in the direction they're aimed at to this block in the center, which is if I can get past this ram, is a cyclic shearing block, which it does exactly what it says. Anything that bumps into it, it shears, which is why the vector plates are pushing the sheep towards it. I have to leave some grass in the pen so that they can eat, so they can heal, so they can get their wool back. But it works fairly well. As you can see, I'm getting more wool than I am eggs and feathers, so it's doing its job fairly effectively. So one of the next things I did is the thing I mentioned very early on, which was I was going to automate the Pam's Harvest Crest apiary. And what you can't see here is, you can see the chest back here, as I have some ducts under this as well, because most of the Pam's Harvest Crest stuff only allows inputs on the top and only allows you to extract things from the bottom most of the time. So what we have down here is pipes that pull out of the apiary and out of the presser and dump into this chest, or if it can, into these frame drawers. If you look carefully, you can see the red dot on that. That's a dense duct, so that it will try to push them over here first, mostly so we can push the bee grubs there. And this will act as a buffer if this ever fills up. And out the top, because this is where the honeycombs go, it will then pull these out and dump them back here, or the queen bees when they get pulled back out, because they pop up over here when this finishes. So there's that. So I also discovered something pretty funny in regards to the bee house and the time in a bottle. So you see how the bees are out here like this? If you jam on the time in the bottle, bees just spew everywhere, and it just looks hilarious. It does actually speed up this process, but it mostly just looks funny. So let's run away from the bees. One of the other things that I did was, you notice that I ripped the stairs out, and now there's this rug carpet thing sitting here. And you notice that these panels don't look quite right. They look a little bit offset on here. It's because I actually put in an elevator from open blocks. So you jump to go up on it, and you shift to go down, and this goes down to any of the ones that are above or below it. So that's how I'm going to be dealing with the stairs that I didn't like. I'm going to rip this out eventually. I'm probably going to put it in most of the corners to let it go all the way up and down, and just generally follow this pattern. I do kind of like how this rug looks. It's a standard brown wool carpet. It's chiseled. The wool actually allows you to chisel it into 3 different patterns, which actually looks kind of interesting. So I felt that looked okay and stood out enough that I could just use this as a very obvious point to go up and down at. And since nobody else is using my house, I don't really need to worry about the stairs. I also made the brown because I figured that would fit in better if I was just going to not do anything with it, but then I decided to hide them. I'm probably going to glass in the floor so that I can walk across each of these floors, but I haven't quite decided what I want to do there. I might just put railings in. I don't know. haven't made up my mind yet, but that's a decision for later. One of the other changes that I made was I added some things to the farm. So I added a bunch more of the ender lilies, just so we get faster ender pearl outputs. I also added cocoa beans so I can have chocolate, some cactuses so we can get cactus green, some random other plants, and I figured out that you could shear off the fruit off of Pam's Harvest Craft trees and put them on leaves. The one big caveat on this is, you notice how I have them sitting here and not like a little higher up, is they have to be on the exact same level as the harvester itself, same as all other plants. If you look at the area it encompasses, it makes it feel like it covers a bigger area, but it only covers the direct plane the harvester itself is on. So they have to overhang instead of just, it's basically the reverse of the ground. They have to be above it instead of below it. So same general principle. So I've got a bunch of that stuff going. That'll be good for creating like oil from the nuts and whatnot later. It'll also give me a relatively easy supply of apples if I don't want to plant apple trees, and I'm probably not going to. Now you notice I left these trees up, but it was mostly for the explicit purpose of showing you how this works. So you just take your shears and you just clip away at it. It takes a while, but then it just pops right off and you can pick it up, put it on your item bar, and just reattach it to a branch, to a tree. I'm just going to chop these trees down because I don't actually need these, but I'll do that later in case I want to, so I don't want to keep the clippings for a project later or not. That said, I have a bit of a problem, and I even showed it last time. This crate is completely full for the most part. I could do some cleanup for get it to some specific things that I wanted, but I really need to tackle the elephant in the room, or rather the sub-basement that doesn't exist, and I don't know, rip out a good chunk of this floor and put a storage room under this. So I guess I better go do that instead of being lazy. Alright, so now that we're done with that scintillating bout of digging a hole in the earth, let's go take a look at what I did after that, which is clean it all up a little bit and add some stuff. So as you can see, I added some flooring that you can see through some glass panels to look down on. It kind of looks like a grating on the edge. I'm probably going to add a railing around here and not cover this up because I've got this separate tower over here. And just to keep it open in the center and kind of nice there. We'll go down to the next floor, and you can see that it's more of the same sort of thing. I'm going to put probably railings around this and leave this open as well, so that this down here is the main work area. I totally glassed in the bottom down here. I'm not entirely happy with these particular panels, but it works for now, and I'm going to leave it here. The one thing I did consider doing was adding some thickness to these, making them more than just the one block thick, to give them a little bit more depth in comparison to the floor that they sit next to. But we'll see if I ever stop being lazy enough to actually fix that. And then we go down to the basement, which is the part that I added and the part that actually matters. So as you can see, it's not entirely finished, but it's built out, and I do have a ton of 2x2 drawers down here for storage. And as you can see, the right side of it is now full of food and seeds. They're all coming in down here, and then the one box for ender pearls. I'm going to build this out for ingots and ore and other stuff later, but for now I need somewhere to dump those that actually has a decently sized storage. If you were unfamiliar with the storage drawer stuff, these smaller 2x2s have a fourth of the storage that the larger ones do, but they hold, 4 different types of items in here. And as you can see, there's more than 2 stacks of things in these. They're actually now loading up properly. There's a crate up here to handle some overflow, so that you can see these ones are already full up, and you can see things flicker in and out pretty quickly sometimes as they cycle down into here occasionally. That's actually one of the problems with the storage drawers. So let me go upstairs and I'll show you real fast what I mean. Alright, so back here you can see the pipes coming down out of the compact machines, sort of, down into the crate and down under this a little bit. They go into these 2 boxes right here that are called controller slaves that connect to all of the drawers inside this wall right here. The problem is the input into these is actually kind of slow. You notice I have 1, 2, and then a third input that I probably can't show you, hidden under the power cable going into these. That without the second slave here, it's not fast enough to handle all of the crops coming out of the compact machine and out of my automated farm right now. So that's a kind of a problem. Probably have to add a couple more slaves along this bank to handle outflow from other machines later. And I just realized I forgot to talk to you about how the storage drawers work, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I forgot a key part of explaining the storage drawers. So all of these are connected in a network. This is basically one big storage, and they're all slaved to this thing right here, the drawer controller. So I can take, like, if I grab any of these items, let's just grab a couple of these right here, a couple random things out of the drawers. And you notice I look at my inventory, you can see them sitting right there. If you come into the drawer and just double tap it with an item that can go into the drawers, it will suck up all of the items that the drawers can take. So this acts as an input and kind of an output for automation. The slaves do as well, but this is the main unit that controls them all. And you're like, well, if it's sitting here, how does it actually connect to the drawers? And that's because down here, you know, this is firwood plank and this is framed trim. That's because this is one of these framed drawer type things, except it acts as basically as a duct that travels all the way over to here. There's one under here and one under the controller, and then connects to this to link all of these together. If I dig this out right here, you can see that there's another one here, a standard generic oak trim as well, that connects this one around the corner into this one. So all of these are connected together. This thing, if memory serves, can handle a 25 by 25 by 25 square box around itself. So it should be able to handle most of this room pretty easily. And these aren't all going to be drawers, and some of them will be chests and boxes and whatnot around here. And there'll be some other stuff like this wall right here is going to lead up to this annex I'm planning on adding later. So I have plans for this room, but right now this covers most of my storage needs. I do need to upgrade these drawers to give them a lot more storage capacity, which means, you know, I need to start actually taking things like those beets and the, what were they? The beets, the potatoes, the wheat, the seeds, stuff up to my villagers. Except, while I was building this, I completely missed some sounds happening up here. And you come over here and you notice that I have no villagers anymore, and that's because somehow a zombie managed to punch one of them through the window and zombified them and killed them all. So I'm going to have to get some more, and I'm going to have to not store them here. I'm probably going to have to store them either down there or in a compact machine, or, you know, somewhere that mobs apparently can't get to them through these windows. That's something I've never seen before. Probably has something to do with the fact that this framed window is actually sitting on the border or something. But I gotta go kidnap some more people. We'll get around to that in a little while. So, now that we've got this taken care of, we can actually go back to making some progress. And one of the things that I was planning on working on today was getting started on Forestry. So, the Forestry mod is kind of interesting in its... Oh, no, I don't need more snow inside. Hopefully this makes the storm go away. Ah! Oh well. This is why I have to make a roof, guys. The snow is getting annoying. Okay, so Forestry. So the one thing we should talk about with Forestry is the whole purpose of it. It's basically what it's named as. So it basically adds a ton of trees to the mod pack that you can breed. It also adds bees and butterflies. The bees produce things, the butterflies are mostly just because they look neat. The core of what Forestry does is it mostly has a handful of machines. It doesn't actually, it's not actually a huge comprehensive pack. It mostly focuses on itself. So, like, the core of it right now that we're going to build is the Carpenter. The Carpenter is a tool that pretty much just combines, it combines materials with a liquid. Sometimes water, sometimes liquid DNA, sometimes seed oil, honey, apparently sewage in this case. That's kind of gross. But it can make a whole bunch of different things. A lot of it, unless it's built into a mod pack like this that's doing progression, it mostly feeds into itself. Like in this case, it's for upgrading like the adventuring backpacks and doing a bunch of random things. What we want it for is to make cardboard boxes, which requires sawdust. And the easiest way to make sawdust is to just toss it in a Carpenter with some water. So before we make the Carpenter, though, we need water, though, and we need a source of water. Now, I could just manually toss buckets in there, but that's no fun. Instead, what I did was I made this thing called an infinite water source from Nuclear Craft, which just constantly generates water. Overall, the base one's pretty easy to make. It just requires these basic platings, some tin and some buckets with water. The basic platings are just a bunch of lead and then a graphite block, which is just coal smelted in a furnace. So all in all, it's pretty easy to make. So I made one of those already, and I need 2 buckets of water to make the Carpenter. I left my other bucket over there. Why did I leave my other bucket over there? Okay, 2 buckets of water, and then now we have the infinite water source, but I'm going to pick that back up because I don't actually want it out here. And then, let's go make the Carpenter real fast. And of course I forgot the treated planks as well. You would think I would be more prepared after all the other mistakes I've made. But, you know, I'm not. Alright, so now we have the Carpenter, and I'm just going to punch it into the wall right. Let's just put it right over here. Let's move the forestry stuff away from those, I guess, and put it like right about here. Slap it on the wall there. Now let me go connect it to power and connect up the water. Alright, there, all plugged in. So now you can see that the water's under it. It has a water pipe going up into it. It has a power going into it. And you can see that it has water and power now. Okay, so now we've got this made. Now we can go plug in the recipe. So to do it, you just put the item for the recipe up here in the grid, kind of like the work table behind me. Drop them in here, and then it will just start chugging away and making these things. Now you're like, Howard, why do you need a bunch of wood pulp, and why do you need cardboard boxes? Well, it's because my next plan is actually kind of dumb. So, bear with me for a second. There we go, cardboard boxes. Okay, so I'm thinking, why don't we go do something stupid? Why don't we go raid that dungeon I found way back in the first episode, right in the caves that I created right behind my base? That sound like a good idea? It's because we can find some loot. Let's maybe go get killed. Yeah. Alright, so here we are. Let's go see how bad this is. So before we start getting attacked by anything, since I had this all blocked off, let me show you what I want the cardboard boxes for. So cardboard boxes can be used to pick up a block. So we can just like slap it on there. Do that. And pull it out of my inventory. And you can just drop it right back down, and with a bare hand, shift right click it to take that off. Now, why that matters right now is because you can also do it to spawners, which you normally just destroy. And now we can take the spawner with us. And we can just pop that up, toss it in inventory, and walk away with it and go make the mob farm with it. Now the reality is I'm going to make a Cursed Earth mob farm, and I actually have a different use for these spawners later. But we will get into that when it comes time to do that, because now is not actually that time. So let's go pick a direction and go explore. Let's grab another. Ew! Okay. That end. Treasure chest. Okay, let's get the spawner. And let's check out the treasure chest. Oh, great googly moogly. Lots of stuff in here. Let's see. No more glasses. A wand. I don't remember what these do. Machine upgrades for Ender IO, ingots. Oh, that generates slimes. That's actually really useful because I'm getting low on slime balls. So I take that. Grab all these. Grab that. We can leave. Take another one just in case, and leave the rest of it for now. So that was already worth coming in here for, all by itself. Let's drop that. Go look in this direction. Nope, nothing interesting there. Nothing interesting here. This is going to be really disappointing if this turns out to be a really, really small dungeon. I know I've seen deeper though, because I've found some spots while digging around under it. Wow, okay, this might be the full extent of the dungeon. This was a quick trip, guys. Okay. Good game. I guess we're going home. Alright, so now that we're back from that anticlimactic trip, I think it's time to go make 2 more of the forestry machines while we're doing it. One will help us progress through forestry and a few other things, and the other is, frankly, to start processing all of these silky combs that we were getting from the villager who is now very, very dead. But it'll at least let us process these raw materials. So that's the centrifuge and the squeezer that we're going to be making. So let me make those real fast, since I've got the parts for them ready, and then I'll tell you what they do. So here's the squeezer. Done. These are all just pretty simple materials. This is just treated wood, another casing that we already made, which I didn't actually show you, which is just copper and bronze. It's just not that hard. And then some glass. And then the centrifuge is really similar. It's just 6 copper, 2 glass, and another casing. So this is all stuff we easily have. So let me go punch holes for this as well. With the squeezer there, we will output We'll figure it out later. And then we'll put the centrifuge here, and I'll just power these up just to show you how these work. Okay, so the centrifuge is really simple. You just open it up and throw in whatever combs you want to process. The bars go up, and it starts processing them. And it will it'll do one pass to move it over here, and then another pass to actually process it. And there we have silky propolis. Propolis? I have no idea how you pronounce that. And then honey. These are the main things this generates. If you look into here real fast, you see that it creates those. If we then toss this into the centrifuge, it will then create a normal one in silk wisp, which is used to make backpacks. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to do this, was to start getting this processing to get that done. I probably should hook those up to a crate or something so that it auto feeds into it, but I'll worry about that later. The squeezer is really similar. You just toss in some seeds, any type of seeds, and it starts turning it into seed oil. And the reason we want seed oil is to put it in the Carpenter to make things. A whole bunch of different things. Most of it doesn't matter, but the one thing that does matter are impregnated sticks and the impregnated casings. The impregnated casings are used to make upgraded beehives and things like the thermionic fabricator, which is another machine that we will need shortly. The impregnated sticks, however, are used for things inside the apiaries, as well as casings for crates, as well as stuff for actually addition that will be important later. So we super need this to progress, which is why we're doing this. So we'll eventually need to. The reason why I was waffling on where to put this is because I'm going to need to have this feed seed oil directly into a Carpenter, and have that Carpenter constantly processing sticks into treated sticks, because we're going to need a ton of them. So we'll get that all automated later. This is at least here now, and I now have both of these machines made. So let's take a quick break from doing anything useful and go clear out a bunch of quests. So let's open up the book and start claiming loot chests. So we've got this and the Carpenter and the squeezer, but not the centrifuge because it's gated behind the impregnated casing, which we haven't made yet in the apiary. Because in theory, they expect you to have bees first before you need a centrifuge, and we kind of shortcutted via villagers. Now we have a bunch of other random stuff we can pick up, like I chopped down silverwood for decorations, so we've got some of that. And the immersive engineering stuff we did, I had to make an engineering block for one of the machines. Or no, not for the machines, the drawers. And then the water wheels we did last week. And the industrial craft stuff, we had to make the advanced alloy for something else. I don't even remember what we used it for at this point. And then the sturdy. Oh, we have to pick one. Okay, so the aqueous accumulator gathers water from a water supply, but we have an infinite water supply. We don't need that. Bronze could be useful, but I have a bunch, so we'll just take the casings. See, and then we have this from when I updated my pick, and then we will take the it's kind of a push. We'll take the Prudentium one though, because I can at least melt that down. Okay, so that gives us a bunch of chests to open. So let's start rolling the dice. First chest, a fire mill, which is a power supply for extra utils. That's actually not bad. Will be useful once we start getting into it. And oh, it's a bunch of them, so that solves our early power supply for that. Compacting drawers, which, well, I was about to go make those. So let's just go slap those on the wall and I'll show you how those work real fast. Let's go grab some ingots so I can show you. Let's grab some of those and some of what don't I need? Invar. So we'll come back down here. And we'll find out they're not locked. No! Oh, let's see if I can. I'm gonna have to beat this, unfortunately. Yep. Okay. Okay. Now that we beat them in, I should have brought my drawer key down with me. I completely forgot about this. You see that when you put them in here, they store them as all the forms that can be processed into it. So we can break an ingot down into nuggets, or we can put it in a box and just take it out that way. So we can just remove this. This seems like it might be a minor thing in the scheme of things, but this is actually super useful for automation, because then you don't have to put a machine that can turn ingots into blocks or into nuggets. You can just have it auto-generate all three. Alright, so now that we're back from that detour, let's open up another chest. Sorry, guys. Coconut shrimp, we got some food. Liquid fuel tank for advanced rocketry. Oh, reinforcement mod, so we can. This will make it 2 more of those, and we can actually make an indestructible tool, which might be useful for stuff later. And then robot, little pet robot. If I had a way to power it, I would show you how this worked, but I do not currently have a means to power this thing up. So those are kind of neat. So we didn't get anything too exciting this time, unfortunately. So, well, it is what it is. Alright folks, so this has been a pretty good day. We actually, you know, made some good progress and dug a big hole in the base and finally set up the storage room. Then we had an underwhelming trip out into a dungeon. Got some loot, I guess, at least. And then finally made some progress on forestry so that we can open up some other things. All in all, a pretty good day. So as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.